This award is one that the steering committee of Dawn felt needed to be given this year to someone who really helped Dawn and volunteered to help Dawn without any compensation, and gave us her expertise. Lynda Waddington is a journalist, she's a writer, she's a blogger. If you've not read her blog, Essential Estrogen, you ought to check it out. She's the founder of that blog, and she writes with clarity, and she always supports progressive issues. We decided that women in Iowa, Democratic women in Iowa who are running for office, needed to know more about using the internet, about blogging and so forth. And so we called Lynda and we asked, you know, could you help us get together a seminar that would offer this kind of training? And she said yes. And moreover, she sort of one-upped us. She said, well, I think we should do more than just one. We should have 3, one in each part of the state. So we did one in Sioux City, we did one in Des Moines, and we did one in Cedar Falls. And that means she gave up 3 Saturdays to drive across the state and do these presentations. And we thought that was pretty special. So I went to all 3, and I know now what it means to tweet and to Twitter. And moreover, the people in the audience learn how you respond when you're attacked online. What do you do if you're a candidate and somebody starts blogging and saying nasty things about you? So, you know, she really had helpful ideas that she could present. So that's one aspect of why this award comes about. The other aspect is this. Lynda has been very outspoken in supporting women's right to choose. And I think that all of us realize that sometimes it's very difficult to do that publicly because oftentimes you become a target for some pretty crazy people. And she has, we're convinced, a lot of courage because when she blogs, she doesn't do it anonymously. She signs her name. She stands by what she says. When Dr. George Tiller was murdered this last year, she spoke out very strongly and very eloquently about that. She was interviewed by Anderson Cooper on CNN to get her views. And so, again, this is something that is sort of easy to support women's rights or the right to choose quietly with your best friends, but to do it online when you know that many of the people reading your blogs may respond in a very ugly fashion, and many people opposed to women's right to choose may be violent in their ways of opposing. So we admire Lynda for her courage, and we admire her for her strength. I think she's a great model of a woman who's speaking out and saying things that need to be said, and so we're happy to award Lynda this Dawn Award.
I can tell you that I have signed on to do many projects in my life. And at the end of those projects, there were times when I definitely felt I deserved a reward or an award or a hot bath or a large bottle of wine. This was not one of those times. Everything that I did for Dawn's List was an absolute pleasure. So if your phone rings and it's Carol on the other end, pick up. Because I guarantee you, your investment will be so small when compared to the return that you will have. Carol talked a little bit about our seminars and what we discussed. The primary thing that I wanted to get across to women in Iowa was to use your voice. Use your voice in your place of worship. Use your voice at the grocery store. Yes, use your voice on Twitter. Use your voice on Facebook. We have values that need to be shared, and no one can share them but us. So in the spirit of that, and also because that it's International Women's Day, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Many of you know that as CEDAW. What you may not know is that the United States is one of only 7 countries in the world that has yet to ratify CEDAW, which is a treaty for equal rights for women. It puts us in the company of Sudan and Iran. I don't think we're on too many lists with those countries, thank goodness, but this is not one we want to be in. And what I really want for you to think about is the politics behind why we have not ratified this treaty. And of course there is a very real anti-United Nations sentiment in our country. But setting that aside, really look at the politics. In our nation, it's all right that a woman is raped every 3 minutes, but it's not all right to have a political discussion about equal rights for women. In our nation, it is okay that women earn less than men for doing the same job. But it's not okay to approach our congressmen and women and ask them to have a discussion in our nation's capital on ratifying this treaty. It's okay that since 9/11, that domestic violence against women has spiraled in just a decade. But we can't have this discussion about equal rights for women and the rights of women and the fact that women's rights are human rights. I don't know the answer as to why some things are controversial in this country while others aren't. But what I do know is that we're not going to find an answer until we all speak out, until we all make our voices heard. If you're not on Twitter, post your status on Facebook, ask a question. Blog. Come blog with me at Central Estrogen or Iowa Independent, either way. But make your voice heard because you are a valuable and credible voice in your community. Thank you.